All right, back on the Chris Beckham Show, brought to you by Valdosta Toyota on this overcast Wednesday afternoon. 241-1059 is our number, and we're going to get a bit of a jump on our White Tiger Martial Arts Academy Sports Report by talking a little sports this afternoon with the esteemed editor of the Cleach County News. Also, you have many newspapers under your realm. Mr. Len Robbins is joining us today. Len, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Chris. How you doing?
Let's see, real quickly, the Eccles County Echo, and also the new one in Lanier County, again, is the
Lanier County Advocate.
That's right, exactly.
That's right.
So almost brand new still, right?
Started in August.
Response has been good, I hear.
It's been wonderful.
There you go. Well, let's step out of take your newspaper hat off and put on your sports fan hat. There's a petition which you have actually started that you're trying to circulate, and I think it's a great idea, revolving around sports, the Georgia High School Association, and transfer students. Tell folks exactly what the petition is all about.
Well, there's been some controversy a lot in Class A and really across all classifications about transfers in Georgia high school athletics. And part of the problem in Class A is that you have private schools where students can transfer from a public school to a private school and within these service areas. And they're also having issues in, I think, AA, where Buford and Calhoun are both city schools, and kids are being able to transfer into those schools. And a lot of schools don't think that that's fair, that they're being able to transfer without losing any eligibility, whereas in the smaller school system, say like Lanier County, your service area is 10,000 people, that county. Savannah Christian and Landmark Christian are playing for the state championship this weekend in Class A. Landmark Christian, I believe, is in Fulton County, with a service area of over 1 million. Chatham County, where Savannah Christian is, has a service area of 280-something thousand. But basically, if a remedy isn't found to satisfy some of these people, some of these smaller school systems, I'm afraid that GHSA, they're going to start their own athletic association, and there's already some organization to that effect. And really, when I heard about that, I want to keep GHSA the way it is now, and high school athletics in Georgia the way it is now, and I think most folks do, but GHSA has to address these issues, and if they don't, they're going to have problems. And one way to address them is adopt a more stringent transfer policy. And Alabama has one that's a little bit more stringent, that requires that if you do one of these kind of transfers, you have to sit out a year. And Georgia has, and the GHSA transfer policies, Chris, are if you get 10 different people to read them, you'll get 10 different interpretations. But obviously this is going on where kids can, load up on one team and be there and be eligible immediately. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. And I think that if GHSA would just adopt some standards that were more stringent and police them better, then I think everybody would be happy when we could all be in this one big happy Georgia family. But if they don't do something about it and do it fairly quickly, I think some people are going to jump ship.
Yeah, quite frankly, it's always boggled my mind that there's been no attention paid to this. And we said in football, we've seen it with private schools more recently, but in basketball, especially I think at the larger school level, I mean it's almost ridiculous how people will transfer from one school to another, and usually the big basketball powers, Walton and Marietta, and they just go back and forth and load everybody up from these AAU teams, and there's no recourse to it. And now we're seeing more of the private schools who are, again, able to recruit, able to take whoever from wherever. And, again, public schools, especially because private schools are, as you said, the Class A level, public schools at the Class A level can't do that. And I'm not saying what a private school is doing is wrong, but it's different, no doubt. And this would, I think, help even it up. Now, your idea is based on the, like you said, the Alabama policy. And is it just that simple that if you move, then you have to sit out a year?
No, if there's different types of moves. For instance, a bona fide move is what they call one where you move with your parents from one school district to another.
Okay.
That wouldn't be affected, although with Alabama's, you got to sort of fill out some paperwork or something. But you'd be immediately eligible because kids shouldn't be punished for that.
Right.
But if you're going to Beach High School in Savannah and you transfer to Savannah Christian, you're gonna have to sit out a year.
Right.
I mean, or and this is what's happening in Gwinnett County, or I think Milton's number one right now. Isn't that Gwinnett County?
I believe it is.
Yeah, I mean, they're having kids transfer from Norcross to Milton. I mean, you got to sit out a year unless you move with your family into that school district. And Alabama also polices apparently this stuff where you move in with your brother into an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right.
You got to move with everybody that you had been previously living with has got to move to another house.
Well, and I think the word you just hit on is exactly the problem. They've been policing it. The Georgia High School Association, and I'm not trying to trash them, but there's been no policing. It's like they turned their head to it, and it does seem like now there's it's time to kind of straighten that out, or like you said, there may be consequences. We've talked about the meeting, which I believe is going to be held next week in Wilcox County.
Week from today, I believe.
Okay, yeah, with some disgruntled single A coaches, and we were speaking with Brent Miller about this from Lanier County High School, and he said, we're very definitely looking at forming a new association because we're just that frustrated. So I do think that it's time that the high school association does address this in some way, and this petition, which you have. And I'll tell you, we'll get this up on our Valdosta Today website so folks can go and take a look at it and sign it if you like and forward it if you'd like. I think this is a good way to kind of police that. I wonder in Alabama if there's been any downside.
Well, I mean, there's going to be kids who have situations that, this stricter policy obviously would affect them.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. But what we're trying, or what I would like to see, is these ones that are being done purely for athletic reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to transfer from, like I said, Beach High School to Savannah Christian for purely academic reasons, fine, you can do it.
Sure.
This would have no effect on you.
Right.
But if you're doing it just to play football and have your senior year there, where you think you're going to win a state championship, or somebody wants you to come there and you get a scholarship, I mean, that's the kind of thing that that's not the intent of what these rules are for.
Well, it's just been abused for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are going to complain no matter what. But I think that perhaps if you had some more stringent policies like this would appease some of the folks that are upset about it right now.
As we were talking about the deal with the single A schools, and I was speaking with someone about this, and they say, well, it just sounds like a bunch of whining. I mean, just because there's always inequities in life, and I said, but if you can stop them, why wouldn't you stop them? And he says, well, but this and that, and what about the schools that are 4,000 students compared to the schools that are 1,800? They're in the same league. I said, well, you can't do anything about that. I mean, but that's like saying, well, because we can't cure cancer, let's don't cure polio. I mean, if you can stop some problem, why not go ahead and do it? So, well,
there's a big difference between whining and speaking out when you think something is unjust.
Yeah.
And 80-something. Well, let's look at this. When they stopped the 1.5 multiplier. Private schools, where you multiply their enrollment by 1.5, and a lot of them went up to AA because of that. Mm-hmm. That was in 2007, when this Gold Scholarship program started, where they passed these laws where we can put tax dollars into this fund where private schools can use it to recruit public school students to private schools. That was in 2008. Since that point, prior to that point, 63% of Class A state championships were won by private schools. Since then, it's moved up to 80 over the last 10 years.
You're talking about in all sports?
In all sports, all across the board.
Yeah.
You had 5 of 8 private schools in the quarterfinals in the Class A football this year. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to get worse, Chris, and it's not going to stop at Class A.
Right.
It's going to keep on moving up, and that's why GHSA, if they want to keep what they've got, which is wonderful, they got to act now.
And I think you're right. I think if this whole, and I don't know if this whole thing with the single A coaches is going to fly or not, but if it does, and there's a chance that it will, that's going to open the door for down the road. Let's say it's not just some Class A schools now. Let's say it's some 5A schools, and let's somebody just says, hey, we're going to join them. They did it. Why can't we do it? And I think you're right. The high school association has an opportunity now to step in here and then kind of stem that out a little bit. But they're going to have to act. Has there been any response, or from the high school association?
Well, they were approached by this a couple of months ago, by this basically a coalition of Class A public schools, and they almost passed something that would have created a separate playoffs for public and private schools. But then I think actually, Chris, they passed it, then they rescinded it, and then they didn't do it.
That sounds like politics to me. But
yeah, it does. And I've talked to some GHSA officials, and they said that indicated to me that GHSA is just very political, and it's just they need to do something. I mean, because like I said, I think these people are serious because they see this coming, where private schools are just going to get more dominant, and they have to look after for their kids. If you're playing tennis and there's no hope for you to ever even compete for the state championship, I mean, that's sort of demotivating. And if you have a chance to go into where you're competing against other schools where you may have a chance to compete on the same level, these school systems are going to have to look into that seriously.
Where can folks find the petition?
It's at ipetitions.com, and then if you go to the search petitions, just type in GHSA, and you can go there. And I've written a column that details this further, and it's going to be in about 20-something newspapers in the state of Georgia, including the Valdosta Daily Times on Sunday, which will also have some more information about that.
Fantastic. And also the ever-popular Georgia Varsity Sports Event. I believe there's you put a link to it on there, is that right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's moved up and down, but yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, a good deal. It's going to be interesting to track and see how this goes. And if folks want more information, iPetitions, that's the letter I, petitions.com. You can search for it there. And it's, again, right now it seems like we're at the crossroads, and if something doesn't happen, then it's going to get ugly down the road. And that's what we're trying to avoid. I think you made a good point. We like the high school association. We enjoy competing in there, and that's where it needs to stay, but there needs to be some changes.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris, you and I have been covering high school athletics here in Georgia for decades now, which is sort of sad. We're that old, but I mean, I don't want it to change. I don't, if GHSA just sits on their hands about this, and I'm talking about they need to do something within the next couple of months. Yeah. If they sit on their hands, it's going to screw up everything for everybody. It
is. It's going to be a bad scene, and we don't want that to happen. So we've got a lot of proud sports traditions here in South Georgia, and we want to keep them. And so that's what we're looking to change. Good idea for the petition, man. I appreciate it, and appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Len Robbins with the Clinch County News, Lanier County Advocate, and Eccles County Echo. Again, iPetitions.com, and I'll read you exactly what the petition says. Quote, the Georgia High School Association currently allows students to transfer within, quote, service areas, unquote, in some cases without affecting their athletic eligibility. This policy has spawned charges of recruiting and unfair play. We, the undersigned, believe that adopting the Alabama High School Athletic Association's transfer policy would help remedy this issue. Their policy stipulates that a student must wait a year after a transfer to compete athletically within service areas. Their transfer policy can be found at www.ahsaa.com. If you believe changing the Georgia High School Association policy to the Alabama High School Athletic Association policy is a good idea, sign this petition and it will be forwarded to the GHSA for their consideration.